Big card, Major League Baseball today. Gotta love it, man. Day games, fantastic stuff. Gets you through your workday and also a good night slate as well. So to help you get through this day's action in Major League Baseball, it's Sonny Wright out here along with Joe Ranieri. This is what we do, people, to set the table so you know that there's a game at 1:05, multiple games starting before 2 o'clock and 4:10 Eastern here. So while you're at work, maybe able to win some money before you even hit dinner time. Let's take a look at one of those games a little bit later on tonight. 8:10 p.m. start, 9:19, 9:20 on the rotation. That's Toronto and Houston. It's Bassett and Javier on the mound, a favorite here, which opened up overnight as a minus 148 favorite towards the Houston Astros. Yeah, they're still the favorite, but right now, currently, that number has dropped to a minus 144 price and a total that's listed at 9. The Astros have not opened up the season as they had wanted to, being at home, dropping their first games against the New York Yankees, now struggling here against the Toronto Blue Jays, which included a game where the pitching was sensational right up until Josh Hader let loose a 2-run home run late in that ball game to lift up Toronto. We're looking for a bounce-back effort today for Houston, or is it going to be Bassett pulling off the upset for those Blue Jays here?
I can't trust Bassett at this point, unfortunately. On the road, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves there. I don't mind backing Christian Javier, who looked pretty decent his last time out. I think Bo Bichette being banged up at this point is still a little bit of a problem for that lineup there with Toronto. Kind of a getaway game here in this spot. You had a no-hitter, a lot of emotions too, right? You had a no-hitter. You have your ace on the mound in a safe spot in a low-scoring game that you end up losing. Now you got to come back here and get the rubber match going. I just think Houston early, though, is where I would look at it. Obviously want nothing to do with the bullpen there of Houston at this point, but I do think that maybe Houston will go into the 6th inning with a lead in this game.
Yeah, exactly. Be able to hold on, and maybe Hader gets the night off after blowing the game last night, but certainly something to keep an eye on. That total listed at 9. The one thing we got to love about Houston this time of year is it's a dome. So if it's open, it means it's nice weather. If it's closed, we're not worried about any rain entering into the forecast as we are like here on the East Coast. But let's flip it over to a 1 o'clock game down in Florida. It's Texas and Tampa Bay. Eovaldi versus Savali. This line opened up overnight at the FanDuel Sportsbook as a favorite towards Tampa Bay at a minus 126 price. That number is still currently right now a favorite for Tampa Bay, but slightly less at a minus 120 price and a total that's listed at 8. Rubber match here between Texas and Tampa Bay in the Trop. Do we go over? Do we go under? Or maybe a side that you're looking forward to here today, Joe?
Well, Savali wasn't terrible there, his first go out, and that was a huge effort by Zach Eflin yesterday, which Tampa needed in order to be able to get one back there, because that series was looking extremely one-sided here. But, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I still think it's the Trop. It's an under park. It's an early game. I have no problem, once again, continuing to look towards unders with this spot in these teams, and especially these two pitchers. Savali being a ground ball pitcher here, and that's usually how it works in this ballpark. So I'd look under in this one once again here in another early getaway situation.
Yeah, minus 120. You're basically looking at those two ball clubs here as a coin flip. Winner is going to take that series. Also, take a look at the Yankees and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Rodon, the lefty, will be on the mound today, going up against Merrill Kelly. That's a 3:40 afternoon start East Coast time. And the favorite here overnight is the New York Yankees. Slight favorite at minus 116 at the FanDuel Sportsbook. Still currently sitting right now at a 116 price, so not a lot of movement here. But the total, which opened up overnight as a 9, that now sits at 8.5 here. Yesterday, we saw the bats come alive for the Arizona Diamondbacks and a great pitching performance out of Zach Gallen. No runs yesterday here for the Yankees. Does that change today? And will you be able to trust Rodon for the 5-1 Yankees, or is it going to be a win for the Arizona Diamondbacks?
I mean, isn't this a tough spot here, man? Trusting Rodon, I define trust. Is trust the way where, like, I know he's going to go out there and he's going to give us 5 or 6 solid innings, save the bullpen, and keep the Yankees? No, I don't have that trust. He coming off one of the absolute terrible 2023 campaigns that we have seen. He's hurt. He's not hurt. They say he's as healthy as he's been in a while. It wasn't great the first time out, but it kind of hard. If I can't get the 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 hitters of the Yankees to hit higher than $1.50, Donnie. I can't trust them on the road against a team that is playing really well and guys that are putting the ball into play. The style of the game, too, for Arizona is interesting, right? They'll bunch you over. They'll play small ball. They'll steal a base. I think this is a nightmare matchup for the Yankees, unfortunately. So I would only look at Arizona, and I'd look at them early in the first 5.
Yeah, what's interesting about the New York Yankees, too, is sometimes you can say like the hitting is a little bit behind the pitchers to open the season because they're just getting a look at the aces throwing full gas at them for the first 5 to 6 innings. But also you might take a look at here and say, well, Stanton and Judge, slow starts. Well, they're batting at 38-degree temperatures. The wind's blowing in. It's just not comfortable. They opened in Houston. That's a dome. They're now in Arizona. It's a dome. There's no excuses at this point ever saying like, hey, we just played, from Florida for a couple months here in 80-degree temperatures. Now we're playing in 30 degrees, and we just can't get those bats to stay alive. We'll see if they do come alive today after a shutout yesterday. Take a look at the Philadelphia Phillies and the Cincinnati Reds. We've talked about it ad nauseum this morning of how good Bryce Harper was last night. 3 home runs and a grand slam. The Phillies pick up a victory and a much-needed victory. They're going to take on the Reds once again today in the rubber match in Philadelphia, a 4:05 start. Montez versus Wheeler, which, yes, on paper is a big mismatch. Minus 180 price overnight at the FanDuel Sportsbook, now up to a minus 196 and a total of 7.5. But me being close to the ballpark here, it's raining today. In the forecast for the game, not rain, Joe, heavy rain. 15-mile-an-hour winds blowing in with 50-degree temperatures. I don't think this game is going to be played today. And if it is, I don't know how smart the Phillies would be to say, hey, Zach Wheeler, get out there in the rain, and if we get a delay, we'll use you for 1 inning and burn you. We'll see how this one plays out, but I have my druthers against a 4:05 start with this game starting at least on time with that rain in the forecast. But the Phillies should be able to win if it does play. But again, I'm not paying a close to 2-1 price in a rainy forecast game.
No. And the only way I would look to would be towards the total in this spot, right? I mean, look towards it was 8, now it's 7.5 here. I would look towards an under here. If it was to take away the 3 home runs last night, Donnie, we're looking at an under anyway. And these conditions with the wind blowing in, that's the only way I would look. Keep it a lower scoring game for sure at 4:00.
Yeah, Wheeler outdueled Strider on opening day in Philadelphia. Didn't get the win because the bullpen blew that one up. So expecting another dominant performance out of Zach Wheeler, certainly no different. Expecting a dominant performance out of Strider, possibly so. But at that price point here, minus 335 taking on the Chicago White Sox today is crazy to look at here. A total that's listed at 8. And as I look at the forecast, you're going to like this one. At the start of the game, 37-degree temperatures. That's the feel of it, what it is. Throw in the wind at 13 miles an hour. So we're now down into the 20s and into the high teens. Snow is in the forecast along with drizzle, which means it's going to be an absolute mess. So I ask you this, Joe Ranieri, if you are going to take a dog, would the Chicago White Sox be a viable dog saying like, you're going to make Strider pitch in this environment, and maybe the field is so junked up that it doesn't make a difference of how much your favorite you are, because we saw it last night. The Braves were red hot rolling into town. They still lost a game yesterday against Crochet, who's not a great pitcher, but still a young guy trying to make his way around. Nastrini, good luck on what you're going to get from him today, but the one thing I do know is you're paying a minus 335 in snowy, windy conditions that possibly could have some rain as well. Not for me.
Yeah, no, it's not been great. I mean, although they did get out to a 9-0 in the first game win, Atlanta held, Sox couldn't hit anything. So again, another low scoring game yesterday in the conditions. Now you got the ace on the mound with Strider, and Kopech had to throw, I believe, a whole lot more innings than he should have been able to for the save last night. So the bullpen's going to be iffy. I'm splitting this game in half again, especially in these bad weather games. I'm going to look towards a first 5 under with these two teams here. And once you get past the 5th inning, if in fact it's still a close game, it's anything is possible, I think, late against this White Sox bullpen. So I would look to go early and under in this one.
Talking about late, the nightcap tonight is between the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers. 9:09, 9:10 on the rotation. A 10-10 start out there on the West Coast. The total that opened up overnight at 7.5 actually moves higher now to 8. If we look at the side, it's a heavy favorite for the Dodgers. If you thought you got them cheap last night and they picked up a victory at about a 150 price, they opened at minus 245. That's been bet down to minus 225, but it's Glasnow versus Harrison. Harrison, the lefty on the mound. Glasnow's looked very good in a Dodgers uniform early in this season, Joe.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too because the only two unders the Dodgers have been a part of this year have been when Tyler Glasnow is pitching, which is interesting, right? I do think that the over is not a bad way to look here. However, because I do think the bats will come alive here for the Giants in this one. We already know that the Dodgers are going to be able to score some runs here. They're not going to have an issue here, I think, at all. Scoring at least 5 or 6, so maybe a Dodgers team total over. But I do think the over 8 is not a bad look here as the bullpens will get involved and a little shaking on both sides.
Keller Williams on the mound today, not the real estate brokerage, but the actual pitchers between Pittsburgh and Washington today at minus 156. My question for you is not necessarily a handicap here, but do we see 6 wins for the Pirates with the best record in baseball when it's all said and done today?
Not until next month. I don't think they'll win a game until next month. But I'd look to back them here, though.
The Pirates riding high there. They used to tell you, hey, don't worry about the team on the field. Just come out to the stadium. It's beautiful. Now they're winning games here.